questions. I've seen over the years in math, whenever a textbook introduces the variable k, it's like they're going to tell you these ones are harder. If people are scared of questions with k in it because they're a little bit harder. They're not too bad once you find out how to do them, but they are a little bit of a thinking question. So you have this equation, 2x squared plus 7x plus some other number, k, and it's equal to 0. So first of all, we notice that this is already in the ax squared plus bx plus c form of the equation. But instead of c, we have k, just to make things sound the same but look different. And it has, okay, as soon as they tell you how many roots, this is our hint. That it's a discriminant question. That part is our hint. Well, if it has no real roots, they're trying to tell us that the b squared minus 4ac has to be negative, less than 0. This is mathematically how we say negative. We make an inequality and say less than 0. And if we plug things in, we know that the b is 7. We know that the a is 2, and the c is k. Can you rearrange this and solve? Well, 7 squared would be 49 minus 8k is less than 0. If I wanted to get k by itself, I can move the 49 to the other side. And now we have to remember an inequality rule from grade 9. Inequalities are like equal signs. Notice how I moved the 49 over to the other side by subtracting 49 on both sides. Just like inequalities, if I want to get just like equalities or equations, to get k by itself, the next step that I'm going to need to do is divide both sides by -8. And this is the one place that inequalities have a special rule. Do you remember the special rule? Here's the special rule that you've forgotten. Inequalities get flipped around when you multiply or divide by a negative number. This is really easy to see if you just take a simple example. And sometimes when you have a rule and you're like, this is a rule, if you just try to do the rule without knowing where it comes from, it's very hard to remember. Sometimes with a rule, if you take a simple example, you'll see why it's true. For example, is everybody okay with -2 is less than 7? Okay. Now watch. If I multiply both sides by -2, this side would become 4, this side would become -14. Is 4 less than -14? No. It has to flip. So we see an example like that, and we're like, that makes sense. But when we just have a rule without seeing an example, sometimes we're like, how am I going to remember that? Okay? Notice that if you add a negative number to both sides, right? If I add -3 to -2, I would get -5. And add -3 to 7, I would get 4. I don't need to switch it. Because it's still -5 is still less than 4. So adding or subtracting numbers, that doesn't change anything. But when you multiply or divide, because dividing is just really multiplying by a fraction, you're going to have to flip that inequality. And it will come up in questions like this one. So, in order, right? This question is asking, in order for this to have no real roots, it happens when k is bigger than 49 over 8. Not something that's an intuitive number that you would look at, okay? The fact that it says no real roots means that it's a discriminant question. Then in part B says use one value of k to write an equation. So now we have to write an equation that has no real roots, and we already know that it's a 2x squared plus 7x. And now we have to put something in for k. There's lots of answers that could work. Okay? We just have to make sure that k is bigger than 49 over 8. A little bit of mental math. Can you see that that is 6 point something? Right? Because 48 divided by 8 is 6. 49 divided by 8, it's going to be 6 and 1/8. This is going to be actually 6.125. So anything that you put in bigger than 6.125 will be fine. So some people like to just go a little bit bigger. Some people like to be like, make sure. My 49 over 8, my mental math isn't the best right now. I'm kind of think that I'm going to go with 1,000 because I'm pretty sure that 49 divided by 8 is less than 1,000. So I'll be fine by choosing some big number there. So in part B, when it says write your own equation, you have an infinite amount of answers that you could do as long as it's bigger. Right? You could even do, oh, I want to be cheeky, and I know that this is equal to 6.125, so I'm going to do 6.125. Just a little bit bigger. And it just has to be a tiny bit bigger for it to explode and not be possible. If it was exactly 6.125, that's when it would be exactly equal to 0, and that would be the answer they were looking for if you had one root. Okay, so now I'm going to give you some time to work on questions. This one is 8, 9, and 10. And we are going to skip example 3 to officially be done this unit.